What's up, guys? Our wrestling podcast back at you with another episode. I am Craig, the British Bulldog, along with Jess, the Total Package, and Joe, the Nature Boy, bringing you our perspective in the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories of the diehards, sharing opinions with you. And that's right, Dave is not here today. We're talking who is Swerve Strickland. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. Watch us in person on some video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Our Wrestling Channel, and Daily Motion. And shut up, Jess.
I love it. No, because every time like we try to do it, like I hate Dave.
Yeah, we miss Dave.
Ah, fucking idiot. What are you doing, Dave, right now?
We need the ringmaster. I'm sorry we make fun of you. I'm sorry
I yelled at him on the group chat when he was like, hey, man, I'm out this week or whatever. I'm like, how the fuck? You know Craig and I struggle. How are we going to do this?
It's true.
But we're talking about
Rest
Swerve.
in peace, Dave.
He was a good man.
Yeah. There's a GoFundMe. I'll give you my PayPal, and you can Venmo me or whatever, and then I'll distribute to the people who love Dave. No, it won't.
No, it won't.
Yeah.
We were talking. I don't know when this is going to air, but we're recording this right at the beginning of the May 3rd to be exact. And so I don't know when I'm going to air this, but we were talking on our unscripted recording about Swerve Strickland. He is the AEW heavyweight champion. He won that at AEW Dynasty by defeating Samoa Joe. And we all kind of started talking like, did they pull the trigger too early on him? Because we feel the star is rising of Swerve Strickland. I'll get into the notes here in a little bit. He was actually part of the machine, part of the federation, if you will, and didn't work out there and floated around a little bit.
And Towers.
Where was he in? Was he in NXT?
Yes. Yeah, he was in NXT. And then he was on the main roster for a bit too. But it didn't work out for him there. He got released, and then he floated around and came to AEW, and he's kind of been building himself here, like since 2021. Well, that's when he got released, but I'll get into it. Yeah, I wanted to talk about Swerve. I don't know if you guys have any additional comments, but I think the star, he's there. Something's there. He's incredibly
I like
talented.
that dance too.
Yeah, I love his little dance. His theme song is catchy and awesome. So he's got like the gimmick down. Now I'm waiting to see what AEW, like, when they crown a champion, like, yes, you need to have charisma on your own for sure. But also the machine needs to know how to accentuate said charisma and push you in a certain way. And we're doubting, even though AEW's doing good, steady right now. They're doing fine as far as like me watching going, okay,
hold on,
easy.
good,
like
good.
they're doing all right.
Ooh.
They'll never be the WWF machine. They'll never be that. So I don't ever expect that from them. And I don't think any of us on this podcast right now expect that from them, right? But I do expect like beginning, middle, and ending of storylines. And I do expect your character to tell me something every week. Why am I going to tune in to watch you next week? I don't know if you don't give me a reason to. So what do you guys feel about Swerve real quick before I just jump right into this shit?
I feel like every time Swerve comes out, I feel like he's the living embodiment of that Dane Cook bit.
Black guys are the best because black guys, you know what they do? They just get all still. They got... But what makes them look even more like statuesque is that their boys are around them and they're even more animated. They're like, oh, yeah! Oh, yeah! Yeah, that's right, yeah!
When he's talking about the different ethnicities and how they fight.
Man.
And he's like, and black guys are the best because the black guys are just like stoic. They just stand there and like, they're like, they don't move a muscle. They're statuesque. And then all their boys are animated around them going, oh yeah, it's on. It's him
so
and
true.
you and him and you. And it's like, that's what I think about every time he comes out.
Yeah, when he comes out, he's super stoic and still, but he's got dancers around him. His manager does the dance at the very least. And like, but he's completely just like calm and walks out. And they're hyping him. So I love his presentation. I just love it.
Yeah.
And I
a
love
lot of
It's a
fun.
20-year-old Dane Cook bit when that's amazing. That is absolutely like it true and spot on. Like it's
Yeah.
very, very funny. And I think what they're doing with Swerve and like it's like Tony Khan is listening, much like there was this wave of Swerve and when Swerve time and Swerve's house, and they kind of gave it to him at the right time, or maybe it's the wrong time, but we'll figure it out. But I think that where did he kind of come from? We've only like 18 months in AEW and the rise of and the Hangman feud and the rise of this guy and then willing it and then actually having it like just as we begin his reign as champ. Be kind of amazing to see kind of where it came from and what he's been doing. So
Yeah.
When
I'll jump into it.
So
And
right after Full Gear, Full Gear we went saw in LA, and that was the first time I'd ever seen Swerve. And they're doing like whose house, Swerve's house, and that whole big thing, which I thought was awesome and a lot of fun. The next day I went to a Rams game, and apparently that's also what they do at the Rams game. It's like whose house, and it's like our house or whatever it is. But like because the Forum and SoFi Stadium share a parking lot, a lot of the people that were at the AEW event were at the Rams game the next day, myself included.
Oh, wow.
And so it was like, whose house? And I was like, Swerve's house. I can't believe they're doing Swerve's thing here. And somebody's like, no, it's this Rams thing. And I'm like, no, it's Swerve's thing, dude.
It's Swerve's
It's goddamn Swerve's
thing. I
house.
heard it first.
You better get used to it.
Swerve's house.
So yeah, I'll jump right in here. Swerve Strickland was born in Tacoma, Washington on September the 30th of 1990. His father, who was a sergeant first class cook in the United States Army, moved the family to Germany when Strickland was just 2 months old to live on an American military base in Frankfurt. Strickland spent the first 7 years of his life in Germany. The family later returned to the United States and settled in Mount Joy, Pennsylvania. I've never heard of Mount Joy. Maybe you guys have. Where Strickland attended, You know what? I'm never going to make fun of Dave again for words and stuff because now I'm stumping myself. Dungal High School. And that's such an easy word. I usually give Dave like Japanese words and stuff like that and make him suffer. And he always. I really hate Dave. I dislike him. He danced in talent shows and excelled in football, basketball,
Love you,
and
Dave.
track and field. Shortly after leaving high school.
I will say no. Before you go into that, I think he actually does give off the vibes when the more you read about Swerve Strickland as a military guy. Like he's so out there, but I think that dude is so disciplined. And I think with his body and his character, and he's been so patient, like he does, it kind of makes sense that he comes from a disciplined military family and then tried it like himself. Like
I don't want them to do it in a corny way because I really dislike and wrestling is about stereotypes. It's always been that way and it's getting better now. But I mean, like in the 80s, especially where we grew up in early 90s, it was stereotype city. And if you had a military background, you were Sergeant Slaughter or you were, you know what I mean? Like you were
Corporal
camo,
Kirshner.
you were Corporal Kirshner, whatever. Like, and so like, here, I'm glad they're not over exploiting that, but I would love for them to weave in his military experience, his service to his country, his, everything. I would love, or even if it's like a sit down interview, just wheel JR out and he'll be like, Swerve. Shortly after leaving high school, Strickland felt the need to follow in his father's footsteps and enlisted in the United States Army Reserve at the age of 17 years old.
love you, Dad.
He carried out his United States Army basic training in South Carolina, then underwent 22 weeks of advanced individual training at Fort Eisenhower in Augusta, Georgia. He was then stationed in York, Pennsylvania, where he served as a 25U signal support systems specialist for 8 years. He left the Army Reserve in 2015. So, man, like, again, that backstory is awesome, and it should be told, but I don't want them to overexploit it. I don't want all of a sudden Swerve to come out and just all camos all the time or whatever.
Yeah, like he's in fatigues and like...
Whose army? Swerve's army! Like, I don't want anything like that. I would like them to keep the Swerve's house stuff going, but I want him to talk a little bit more about it because I think you'll get to know the personality of Swerve. I think the key is somewhere in the sentences that I just read that he can kind of relate to us and we'll be like, oh, that's awesome. I just want something from his character. And I think there's a lot there.
He's not a chaotic dude. He's a very, when you just, the more you read about him, how like he always wanted this for himself and he worked very hard and he was always cognizant of what everyone was doing and what else and his discipline. Like it just, I said it earlier, it just make kind of sense to me. Like, I mean, to rise to the top spot in wrestling, whatever, especially if there's only 2 actionable places, takes a lot of balls, a lot of guts, a lot of smarts. Like,
Yeah.
congrats for Swerve to fucking come out of nowhere and
How
do
many
it.
people don't make it?
Nowhere. Right.
It's,
And
in a
nowhere
sense,
meaning like 20
it's
years.
like a
he's still
hybrid
done
show
it, but,
business. Like it's more cutthroat than show business. I think professional wrestling, because you got to be
1,000%.
You have to know psychology.
There's less room for top spots. Like, it's not like Hollywood where like you can have like Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise and Leonardo DiCaprio and De Niro and all these guys doing a bunch of stuff. But like in wrestling, it's like there can only be one top guy at a time.
Yeah.
Or,
and arguably all 5 come from a lineage where your nepotism and your name, because you were born around it, like help you get up there. So that's Rock, that's Cody, that's Roman, that's everybody.
Yeah.
That's Orton.
They're taking up spaces. So for someone not in the industry and didn't have a father or mother in the industry or whatever to come up is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Strickland decided to become a professional wrestler when he was 18 years old. He began training at
Don't do it, bro.
He began training at Ground Zero Wrestling Training Academy in August of 2008, doing so while still serving in the United States Army Reserve. Swerve would float around on the independent circuit, including such promotions as Lucha Underground, MLW, and CZW, which is combat wrestling.
Anyone that has done a combat zone wrestling stint probably deserves all.
Right.
Like, I would just do it. It seems like that's the place you go where you're like, oh, okay, so you're legit. You've done kind of everything.
Yeah.
Like,
you were around before.
Because they've all wrestled CZW, but
that's all I'm
CZW
saying
had
too,
some
like,
of the...
Go ahead. Well, this is Khan's chance to push Swerve and say, oh no, he's been to these places before. Like, he's not just some guy that's AEW homegrown, which isn't bad to be, but I mean, like, he should be a world champion. He served our country. He was with the Evil Empire. He was, in CCW. He was in Lucha Underground. He was in MLW. Like, tout it. Talk about it, Let's see here. On April 17th of 2019, it was announced that he signed a contract with WWE and begun working at the Performance Center, and his ring name was changed to Isaiah Swerve Scott.
And they obviously didn't trademark it or the whatever.
Yeah, he would join a faction in NXT called Hit Row, which we'll talk about that in a second. On the June 29th episode of NXT, Scott defeated Bronson Reed to win the NXT North American Championship, his first title in his WWE career. He would hold that title for 105 days until losing it to Carmelo Hayes, of all people.
Isaiah Swerve Scott, no wasted motion. Top rope, 450 connects. Scott at the 450. Scott into the cover. We got a new North American champion.
Here is your winner, and new NXT North American champion, Isaiah Swerve Scott.
Wow, well, Hit Row threw everything but the kitchen sink at Bronson Reed. It looked like it was going wrong.
As part of the 2021 draft, Scott, Swerve, along with the rest of Hit Row, were drafted to the SmackDown brand. They were drafted to the SmackDown brand. On November 18th, Swerve was released from his WWE contract, along with Adonis and Dalla, which were part of Hit Row. I remember when that happened. It was right after the COVID restrictions lifted, and they had to kind of purge some talent. And he was one of the guys that got cut. And this is why I think that, from what Craig's been saying the whole episode, why he is mature, and I think he's a good person. He was really hurt by it, but he wasn't venomous when he left. How many people are like, oh man, they promised me this, you know what I mean? They start whining about it. He didn't whine. Like, he was hurt because he's like, that's the place to be. That's WWE. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's okay. So they cut me. Now what do I do? Like, he was hurt, and but he used that to drive himself and like land on his feet somewhere else. Go ahead, Craig. Were you gonna say something?
God, he almost never. I'm just reading past what you read, Jess. He almost never wrestled in front of a crowd in WWE.
Right. Yeah.
Like, he had 19 to 20, but the end, like April of 19 to the end of 19. But after December 19, it almost started to be over. So he didn't wrestle a lot. So for him to be released without them seeing in front of like stadiums on the build-up, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. And again, people can critique WWE all they want to, but when they're dealing with that much talent, and this was the time after AEW had already kind of started establishing itself. AEW, especially when the pandemic let up, was selling out everywhere. They were selling out in 2019. So they became this viable place. And Strickland signed with Strickland signed with All Elite Wrestling AEW after departing from WWE, debuting under the new name Swerve Strickland at Revolution on March 6, 2022. So he was out for a few months. I do believe he did go to Japan and stuff like that. If I read, I just kind of left that out of the notes. So he did float around a little bit more in the independent scene between getting released from WWE and then finally going in March of 2022 to AEW. He made his in-ring debut for AEW on March 11th episode of AEW Rampage, scoring a pinfall victory over Tony Nese. And then I'm going to
22? Yes.
Yep. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit here, and we could talk about the recent stuff that we've seen him in. At Dynasty 2024, Strickland defeated Samoa Joe to capture the AEW World Heavyweight Championship for the first time. He became the first recognized African-American AEW World Champion. But I want to talk about a little bit and that's all the notes I have right here, because this is a Who Is series. I want the company to push him more, and I want us to talk about him, because who is this guy? Let's flush him out a little bit. And Joe brought it up a little bit too. We went to Full Gear in November of 2003 and saw the Adam Page and Swerve bloody street fight, staple guns, cinder blocks.
I think that's it. Oh my God. That
That summer, yeah, the All In of this last year in August or whatever in 2023, it was him and Christian against Sting and Darby Allin, and Sting and Darby Allin went over, but it was a casket match, so they had to put the loser in the casket, and there was some crazy stuff they did there too. So he was starting with the Darby Allin feud. That's when I really started noticing Swerve. He did those creepy vignettes when he went to That's My Special Boy, the training school, which was trained by Darby Allin, and he attacked him there. The way the video was, it was dark.
Nick Wayne, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was Nick Wayne. It was dark. He goes into this warehouse, which kind of like when we went to San Bernardino, right? It was in this hot fucking warehouse, with no AC. And he attacked him in there and bloodied him up and was like Darby Allin. And he feuded with Darby for a little bit, and Sting obviously by default.
You heard us. And you're gonna shut up and listen, or something worse is gonna happen. It's funny. See how simple it is to make a phone call? How come you couldn't make one years ago to AR Fox when you got signed to AEW? You left him. You shut the hell up and listen. We're the ghosts of your past. We're here to haunt you. So, this is just the beginning. Mobile Embassy, forever.
And that was awesome. And that's when I started noticing that, okay, I thought he needed work live on the mic, but his vignettes were excellent. And like he had a vision, and he had like this aura about himself that he wanted to push. And he had a little faction too, and I'm embarrassed I can't remember the name of it right now. But he had like a little faction for a little bit there too, to kind of help his heel character grow and develop. And then obviously when he started feuding with Adam Page, he broke in to Adam Page's house, where Adam Page has an infant son, and he was talking shit over the crib to his infant son about what he's going to do to his father and all that stuff. And it was excellent. So while I think Swerve still needs to worry about it, and he's obviously improved on the live mic as well, Swerve has, because like his promo with Christian last week was excellent. We saw that feud kind of start, and Christian actually called back to all the shitty things he did as a heel. So I really like the way they're trying to stitch it in, but I don't want them to like accidentally put Christian over. It's very easy to get dwarfed by Christian because he's so good. He's a professional. He's arguably a legend, right? I mean, can we agree? Like Christian's been around forever, and he's won a world title in WWE, and he's won multiple championships here in AEW and with TNA and all that stuff. So it's very easy for someone like him to swallow Swerve up. So I really hope this elevates him. But starting with what Joe talked about at Full Gear, all his recent stuff that led up to his world title win was excellent and great quality. I've liked what I've seen from him so far. I hope they continue to push him. What else do you guys feel? Again, Joe and I probably we bring up Full Gear all the time because we're like, I've never seen anything like that.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think with him, I enjoy watching him. I want to know there's a plan for him, and I want to know what else is going on. Like, I don't think his, like, I'm really hoping that they, and we talked about it a little bit, but like that they flesh out his character, that they introduce him a little bit more, right now he's not 3-dimensional yet. He's still just, he's working out the kinks. And it's like, that's why I don't want to say I was surprised, because like the guy is immensely talented. And he's had these huge improvements, great on the mic, but I'm wondering, and I hope they're not pushing him too fast without fleshing out that character first.
Yeah.
Because I feel like AEW has done that before in the past with others.
And I think like this is the time to do it to get us to like him, because if you do take the title off him at All In and Ospreay beats him or whatever, I want to see maybe Swerve next year come back and win the title a second time, but you're developing his character and you're making him stronger. If you kind of just don't do anything and he's a painful transitional champion, meaning there was no growth in his character and he literally just held the belt for a little bit while somebody else beat him, I don't know why you would split his audience. He's a face. They turned him face like right before he won the belt. And I thought that was excellently done. I don't know why Adam Page is out. I want to see him defend the title against Adam Page, like in another match or whatever. And then maybe that carries them to, maybe it's a triple threat or something with Ospreay in All In. You never know. But I hope they do, because like I do legitly like him a lot. He's one of my favorites today. Where I'm like, I look forward to seeing him, and I'm like, man, like there's something there. I can feel it. I just want them to.
He definitely has that it factor. He's got that star factor.
Yeah.
Can he survive a second? Swerve Strickland to the top. Is it time? Is it time in Swerve's house? Swerve! Stop! 1, 2, 3. It's over. Swerve! Swerve! Swerve is your new champion. The winner of this match.
Yeah, and I don't think they have anything to lose either. Like, as much as we wanted Swerve to win in the fan base, like MJF is gone, Ospreay's going to get it. It's like, what a good testing ground to see how he performs at the very, very top. And then even if he does lose it against Ospreay quickly, when MJF, like they'll know they have a verifiable A+ top 4 guy. So it's almost like it's worth taking the shot and seeing how this guy can survive on the very, very top while some of their biggest guys are out and there's in a transitional period with Kenny, MJF, and whatever. Like, I'm all for it. Like, he's still the first AEW African American champ. He's still champ. Like, and he's set for life. Like,
I mean, like it, but that's what I want to see from Swerve, like in AEW, and their effort with him is like, this is your chance, even if you know you're going to take it off him in August. And again, I keep talking like that's a foregone conclusion.
I don't. Yeah,
and
exactly,
it might not
Jess,
be.
like,
It might not be.
Yeah.
Yes, I think this is still the trial period. He's going to have at least all the way to August, so 3 months to figure this out. He's not going to lose this weekend. He's not going to lose it a couple weeks. So, and if they figure out that he's the guy from now until July, they'll pivot. Like, we won't, because they have a wonderful tendency to not give matches away too early. So they won't give the all-in main event. They'll wait to see. Like, so it's not. We're all thinking it, but it's not written in stone that it's going to be Ospreay and.
And because he's returning home, but maybe the world title's not the main event. Maybe it's Ospreay and somebody else, and like and they just tear the house down, and blow the place up, and Ospreay goes over. But
they have until June to figure that out to even place this.
And the world title match is in the middle of the card.
Yeah. There's a lot that can happen. Like if he exceeds expectations on the PR side and the business side and shirt side, like. Shit, we should all buy Swerve shirts.
Yeah, I agree. Swerve. I know I need to. I really need to. Swerve. But
even though AEW merch is hit and miss, man, the AEW people need to figure out merch.
Yeah, they do. They need to figure out a lot of stuff.
Other than the logo, which is great branding.
The hoodie that I have the same hoodie that Joe has. It's fantastic, actually. Might be one of the best hoodies I've ever bought, to be honest, wrestling wise. Anyway.
Damn it.
Well, Craig, you want to take us out? I love the Who Is. I kind of saved them. We did Who is Wardlow. Why do you look so scared? We did Who is Wardlow. But I like this series because I like to use it to highlight someone that is on the cusp or is right there. And, who are they? I want to know more about them. I want them to be fleshed out more.
I don't have the outro notes. We'll see you at the matches. Thanks, Swerve.
What is Dave? I don't even know what Dave says on the outro. It's very different.
That's what I'm
Dave
saying.
says, right?
I don't have them. I only have the intros.
No, he just jumps in. He's like, for audio, that's what he does. Like, he'll just be like, all right, guys.
Actually, he tips his drink over and then just leaves. And says, you guys don't want me here. And then he just leaves.
Yeah, he says, for audio, join us on Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Podcast. Shit. I know there's a fourth one.
Nope.
Or on social media, join us on Facebook at rwrestling.com. No, fuck. At Our Wrestling Podcast. There we go.
And rocketmail.org.
And on Rocket Mail.
Check us out at Our Wrestling Podcast at AOL.com.
Join us at CompuServe.
Dave's GoFundMe at deaddave at craigsbank.org.
For Jess, Craig, and Joe, this is Our Wrestling Podcast saying, see you when we'll see you. I don't even remember. Why am I blanking on Dave's exit? My exit is fuck off.
Garbage, hot, bro, catch 'em.